Okay, so since it's already lunchtime, okay, so the starting of our subject is 11:30. So talagang wala kang choice kundi mag-lunch habang nakikinig. Okay, so you can eat while listening. Okay, as long as do not, uh, you know, open your camera or do not turn on your mic so that we cannot see and hear that you are calls one gumumuya. Okay, so I don't know the English word of that one. Chewing.
Chewing,
So
sir.
while you're chewing your food. All right, so still 18. Anyway, where are the other three? Okay, so just eat. Okay, I'll just eat it later on since I'm still full. So can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right. So for our topic for the day is black diagram. So first we have to define what is a black diagram. So as you guys can see, this one is a high level flowchart. Okay, so this black diagram is under a flowchart wherein it's a high level of a kind. Okay, this one is mostly used by engineering or any other people wherein just to have an overview of something. So it could be a system, could be a process, could be the things that he can see or observe just by one look, okay, like not by checking it one by one. So it is also used to design new systems or to describe or to improve an existing system or existing one. Okay, so its structure provides a high-level overview of major system components. So take note, this one is only composing major system components. So when we say high-level flowchart or high-level black diagram, you don't need to put everything. Okay, like for example, under a CPU algorithm or CPU process. So if you're going to draw that one in a black diagram, so it only has two, the input and then the output. So what will happen if we have this input and then after it passed through this system, what is the output? So something like that. So that is the basic things that you need to know when it comes to making a black diagram. So when you're now in to the point that you're going to include the detailed components inside of that system, then we call that one now a schematic diagram. Okay, so it is not a black diagram anymore. Okay, and of course we have here the key process participants, wherein of course the input and then the output, or in black diagram we call that one actors. Okay, we have the customer or user, and then we have the system or the company. Okay, and other important working relationships. So it is not limited to one system only, of course. So it can have two systems that is connected with each other. So having one input and then system, and then that output will pass through another system, etc. Okay, and then another output again. Okay, so you can have as many working relationships with your black diagrams. So here are the advantage and disadvantage of using black diagrams. So of course, the main advantage or the uses of black diagram is it will give you a high level view, or what do you call this one, a bird's eye view of a system or the process. Okay, so you will easily identify, okay, this one will go here, this one will go here, etc., etc. So from there, you will know where will this data will go through, okay, until it will reach the last one, which is the output. And then one disadvantage is, of course, since this one is a black diagram, as I have said a while ago, it will not show every wire and switch or more detailed uh, components on that diagram. Okay, so in that case, if we have wiring, switchings, and more detailed components, we call that one circuit diagram already. So it could be a circuit diagram or a schematic diagram. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the advantage and disadvantages. So if you guys have a question or clarification, so feel free to ask me anytime, okay? So any concerns so far or questions?
Answer.
Answer.
So if you guys cannot follow at all, so please let me know so that we can go over on that topic or on that part so that we can discuss it again. Okay, so here are the uses of a block diagram. So let's start with electrical engineering first. Why electrical engineering? Because they are they are the one who's mostly using a block diagram. Why? Since it started with circuit diagram, okay, like from the resistors to a voltage source to capacitor, etc. Okay, so it is where they've studied where will this current will go through. Okay, will it go here? Will it go there? Etc. Etc. So that is why we're going to talk about electrical engineering in terms of block diagrams. So when it's the electrical engineering, it is a design that will often begin as a very high level block diagram, of course. So we have the voltage source and then the load and then the output. Okay, so we don't care how many resistors are there. Is it parallel? Is it series? Etc. Etc. And then it is now becoming more and more detailed block diagrams as design progresses. Okay, so finally ending in block diagrams detailed enough that each individual block can be easily implemented, at which point the block diagram is now called a schematic diagram or a circuit diagram. Okay, so that is where every wirings, so every components is already in there. Okay, so it is super detailed diagram. So when we say block diagram, high level overview. When we say schematic or circuit diagram, it is a detailed diagram. All right. So block diagram is especially focused on the input and output only. So that's why I said to you guys we don't really care what's inside of that block diagram. Okay. So what we're only focusing is the major components. So yes, we can still include some detail inside of that system, but not to the point that every wirings or every components will be listed on that part or that diagram. Okay, so input and then major components and then the output, right? So here are the things that you need to know when it comes to deciding a high level overview. So we only have four. Actually, there should be five or six. Okay, but I didn't include those anymore since uh, you can actually not use those. Okay, so it's okay in this block diagram. So we have here the system. So it's being represented by square or rectangle. All right. So this one is already considered as a block diagram. Okay, so we don't know what's inside of this system as long as it has an input and an output. This one is already a block diagram, high level view, level overview of a block diagram. And then we have here the actors. So take note in block diagrams, we call the inputs and outputs as actors. So yeah, I know it's quite confusing since maybe this is your first time hearing actors. So it's the person. Maybe you're thinking about the customers, the people. So no. So it is not the case in here. Yes, you could say that actors are customers, but not always. Some actors could be a system, could be uh, another process, or just an input. Okay, so do not get confused when we say actors. It's not limited to a people or a person only. Then we have here use cases. So use cases are the actions or the functionalities inside of your system. Okay, so one good example of this one maybe is a calculator. So inside of this system, we have four, yeah, we have four cases. We're in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and then division. So what will happen if we have this input and then we'll use this function? And then of course it will be displayed to our output. So use cases are actions or functions that we have inside the system. All right. And then relationships. So we actually have a lot of kinds of relationships. So this one is the included, okay, extensions or included relationship. So I'm saying included. So maybe it's quite difficult when it comes to understanding what is not included. I'll just discuss it later on. Okay, but for now, let's just say that relationships connects for one system to another system, or one uh, components to another components. Okay, so we have this format for relationships. We even have a solid line. We even have opposite of this one, like it's going from right to left. Okay, this one is left to right. Anyway, so let's discuss what is this first systems. So a system are a set of things working together. Okay, so we don't know what's inside of that block diagram. As long as uh, it's working properly, then it's okay. You don't really care how this one works, etc., etc. But a system has components that works together, or components that is interconnected with each other. Okay, so they are the ones responsible in how will your output will be shown, or what will be your output. So let's just say that your system is just a case. Okay, it's your protective case, and then inside of it you have a lot of components, okay, that work as one system. So that system so could be a software component, or it could be business processes, could even an application, and etc. So it's up to you. But mostly when we say system, that one is a software component or an application, since we're not really into businesses. So you can maybe disregard this one in terms of computer engineering. So software components and applications. So it is represented by a rectangle shape. Right. Next one here is an actor. So it is someone or something that has to achieve a certain goal. Okay. What is uh, that thing needs in our system? What is his calls one? Hmm, what will he give to our system, and then what is he expecting that will give back to our system if he has a certain input? So again, an actor is not limited by a person or customer only. It could be an organization, could be another system, or it could be an external device. All right. So just keep this one in mind. All right. So note, an actor or actors is an external object as they are always outside the system or the rectangle itself. Okay. So katabi lang siya lagi dito. So this is, let's say, your input, and then another actor here, which is your output or another system. Okay. So in naming an actor, always use categorical name. Okay. So when we say categorical, like a general name. So instead of saying James, so this one is just the name of one person. Okay. Why not use the word customer? Okay. So instead of using the word Intel, okay, which is very specific again, why not use technology company? Okay. Or an employee, or a food company. Okay. So what's important here in actor is do not limit it to one person, okay, or do not limit it to one company. Instead, make it categorical. If it's about food, then say food company. If it's about technology, then technology company. If it's about the people who's going to use your system, then why not use customer or user? Okay. So yeah, that's it for actors. So are we clear with this one so far when it comes to naming an actor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay then. All right, so moving on. So we have two kinds of actors. We have the primary actors and then the secondary actors. So in block diagram, we call the input as the primary actors. So as you guys may all know, the traditional way of um, drawing a diagram or circuit diagram is the input is always on the left side, and then the output is always on the right side. Okay? But in here, sometimes the output is in the middle. Okay, It's not just always on the right side. In this system, sometimes the output is in the middle, and the right side part is just a reactionary, okay, wherein what will be their feedback regarding with your inputs. Okay, so they are the one who's going to decide what will be the output that will be shown on the middle, which is inside of a system. So the secondary actors are the company or the server or the system itself. Okay? So we call them reactionary, right? So for you to be able to understand what are those primary, secondary, actor, systems, etc. So let's start with a blank canvas with a blank system. Okay. And then let's say this system is actually an online shopping app. Okay. So this is where you're going to put the title. Oops. Going to put the title of that system, online shopping app. So it's above the system. And then we have here now the customer. Okay. So from here, we already know that this online shopping app will be used by a customer. Okay. And then next one here is now the online shopping company. So yes, this is an application, but we can have many online shopping company here. We could have another company here, which is Lazada, or actually there is another thing in making that one work in here. So you can have a children. So in every categorical name, you can have a children. So we have the parent, which is the online shopping company. So you can also have a children wherein a Lazada, and then what else? Shopee, Shopback, Amazon, etc., etc., Alibaba. Okay, so you can have as many children as you have. So what are their actions regarding with the customer? Okay, so you can have something like that also. All right. So let's now move on with the use case. So now the only missing part in here are the use cases or the actions. Okay, so we can have as many actions as you can have here. So let's just say that those actions are the functions or the things that you can do inside of this system. Okay, so use case represents an action that accomplishes some sort of task within the system. Okay, so use case is a list of actions or event steps, typically defining the interactions between a role known in the unified modeling language as an actor. Okay, so this is the counterpart of the thing so-called input, which is the actor in UML. Okay, so let's just say that these are now the specific or basic functions that we can have in an online shopping app. So we have here the login. Of course, you have to log in first, and you need to have an account. And then, if after having an account, so that's so that you can search for products. And then once you have maybe look into a specific product, then that's the time that you can examine the product. And then maybe once you really like the product, and that's the time that you can evaluate and compare it. So the comments, you're going to check the comments if the feedback is really good, and then compare it with other products, okay, that you have see also wherein it seems that this one is this one better than this one. So comparing, and then lastly, once you really decided what product you're going to buy, then that's the time that you're going to add to cart that product. Okay. So it's not only limited to the add to cart. So we have an additional here, which is configure the kind of payment and then return the product. So supposedly this one, okay, this one is connected right here. But since we don't have enough space, so I've just put it below of that system. Okay, so this is another system which is a continuation of this system. All right. So can you guys still follow?
Sir, question.
Yes.
Yung online shopping company, you can consider that as sellers in the online shopping app.
Sellers.
Yeah, yung relation ng online shopping company with the online shopping app.
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. So the right side again is the reactionary. Okay, like I mentioned, this one could be a company or another system. Okay, so this one is not just a person who managed that online shopping app. So again, this one could be a Lazada, which is a company. Uh, what else? Shopee, etc. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So any other concerns? All right. So I guess none. Anyway, so we now have here the I forgot to mention. So this one is just the continuation wherein we have the configure the kind of payment. So under this, you can actually put a more detailed information like uh, cash on delivery or to credit card. So you can have two options under this. So those two options are called children. Okay. So how to use case? So just always put your use cases in logical order. So this is very important. Okay. So yeah, you can put the functions, the actions randomly, but if possible, okay, so start with the very basic, wherein what you really need to do in using this application. So in here, of course, you need to log in first, search, and then examine, etc., etc. So it should be always in a logical order. Okay, so this is very important. And relationships. What is the role of relationships in Black Diamond? So basically, very simple. It interacts to the actor. Okay, so let me just show to you guys different types of relationships. So we have here the association, which is being represented by a solid line. So as the association, it is a connection or cooperative link between people or organizations to your system. Okay, so this is your connection from the customer to the system. Okay, so we call that one association. And then inside of our system, we have the include relationships. So when we say include, you have the base and then the included use case. So the base is the from, okay, kung saan man gagaling, and then the included is the one where it will go. So when we say include, if this function or if this action were executed, may kasama pa siya. Okay? Like it's mandatory that this included use case will be executed as well. Okay, so that is why, as you guys can see right here, every time the base use case is executed, the included use case is executed as well. So it's being represented by this one. So it's a dash line arrow. So take note, it's an arrow going to the right. Okay, so yung nasa left side nyo is your base, and then the right side is the included use case. Alright, so it's very important na alam nyo yung uh, direction. Okay, kasi kung hindi, baliktad na yun. Okay, that's another representation of relationship, which is the extend. Okay, so take note, when we see extend, it's not mandatory. Ganun na lang. Ganun na lang kasimple yung explanation. So when we say include, it's mandatory. But when we say extend, yeah, it's still part of your system. It's like another functionality that will happen once the base is executed. But this one will only happen sometimes, not always. Okay, it's not really mandatory. So this will only happen if a certain criteria is met. Okay, so later on, I'll give you guys an example on how this extend and include use case happen. So this one is represented by a dash line, but this one now is growing from right to left. Okay. So this one is from the extended use case, and then going to the base use case. Alright? So memorize nyo lang to kapag solid line association. So this is a connection from the customer to our system. And then when you say included, this one now is the one that is inside of our system. Okay, the base going to be included use case. And then extended, so it's the opposite of you include. So in here, from extended use case to the base, right? So this is a perfect example of using an include use case and then extend use case. So you guys can see once you sneeze, okay, include this one is mandatory. You always or we always close our eyes. Is there such person who sneeze and then doesn't close his eyes? So if there is, this one is already a big
Wala.
bummer. Wala naman
Pag
siguro,
finors
diba?
mo, sir.
Ha?
Pag finors mo.
Pag pinurse mo, okay, pero hindi natural.
Yeah.
So that is why this one is included. So once you sneeze, it's mandatory that you will close your eyes, okay, without even realizing it. And then we have here the extent, wherein this one is, you know, situational. So kapag may tao siguro sa paligid, then you will say, excuse me. Pero kapag walang tao, pag nag-excuse me ka pa, nako, matakot ka na. May nakikita kang iba, diba? So, yeah, this is a very good example when we say include and then extend use case. So, did you guys get this one so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We
Again, this is
Yes,
our
sir.
base. It's include, from base to include. And then again, this is our base. And from extend
Mia,
to our base, right?
me.
So let's have now a real, example when using include and then extend this case. So we have here lag in, and then as you guys can see, we have relationship that is going to verify the password and then display lag in error. So once you log in, of course, it's mandatory that you have to verify the password first, okay, or the user information that's being inputted. So if it's correct, then it will not give you an error. However, if there is an error, let's say incorrect password, then that's the time that this extend will be executed as well. Wherein after verifying the password, it will display a login error. Okay. So as you guys can see, this one is not mandatory. But this one now is mandatory if a certain criteria is met. So in here, if you have an incorrect password, then it will display a login error, right? So the same with this one. So you can have include only, okay? So sometimes, yeah, you can have as many extent as you want, but you only need to have one include. Okay, so when you see one include, so if you have many functions on that certain action, so you can include it here. But before you can include it here, you have to divide this one into many uh, section. So I'll give you guys an idea if we have many actions inside of one action later on. So for now, just one action on every one use case. So second here is search for products. Of course, it's necessary that it will display the result after searching that certain product. So the same with this one, examining a certain product, it will also display related products. Okay, etc. etc. Okay, so this one is not the complete version on what happens inside of an online shopping app. Okay, so these are just the basics that happen. Okay, then evaluate and compare. So there should be another include here, wherein there should be a display the product number one and then product number two, etc. etc. Then you can add to cart, wherein there should be another include here that wherein it will display the interface of that add to cart, etc. etc. So as you guys can see, this one is not complete. And as you guys can see, this is our customer, and then this is the association connection. So meaning this customer can log in, can search for products, can examine products, can evaluate and compare, can add to cart, etc. So those are the things that he can do, or our primary actor can do. And then as you guys can see right here, the reactionary or the secondary actor has to only. So it leaves the part wherein it's already programmed na kapag mali yung sagot, I mean, mali yung password, then it will display login error. So our online shopping company has nothing to do with this actions or functionalities. So the only thing that he can, uh, you know, uh, give a feedback or give his thoughts is one. So this one is being managed by the online shopping company. Walang bumibili ng product na to, so tatanggalin ko na. Okay? So out of stock, blah blah blah. Marami palang parang pumipili sa product na to, tapos sumusunod yung product na to. So meron silang algorithm wherein, okay, so ito dapat yung mga related products na inaano natin. So meron silang algorithm na tinatawag wherein meron tayong categorical. So like for example, you're only looking for call this one cadena. Okay. So you're only looking for a chain, but then since it's under category of motorcycle or motorbike or bicycle, then they will also recommend those products. Okay. So it is also being controlled by the online shopping company. So ito yung mga pwede niyang gawin din, okay, when it comes to reactionary. Right? And then here's the continuation. So we have to configure the kind of payment. So of course, we have to include, verify the address and contacts. Okay. So once you're done in configuring the kind of payment, so under here, maybe you're choosing cash on delivery, ATM card, debit card, etc. So we have to verify the address and contacts. Okay, kung legit ba or mamaya dami address lang pala, wala nang palang address na ganun. And then we have here next 10 wherein verify sufficient balance. Okay, so this one is extend since if the person or if the customer chose the cash on delivery, then doesn't need to verify the balance of that person. However, if that person chose the ATM or credit card payment, then that's the time that this use case will be executed. It needs to verify sufficient balance. All right. And then lastly, we have you to return the product. Of course, you're going to return it to the company, and then that company will give a feedback. Okay, so actually under here, you can include feedback also, like your comment while you're going to return the product to the company. All right. So yeah, that's it for the at least 80% complete, I guess, or 60% complete black diagram of an online shopping app. So were you guys able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
again, we don't so for coming from Mr. Claveria. So we'll rewatch this again. All right. So since we don't have enough time anymore, like it's only 1 minute remaining, so we'll just continue the rest next on the next part. So 7 slides. So saglit na lang yon, and then we'll discuss your laboratory number 1 and 2 after that. Right. So I will end our meeting now again. So just wait for the part 3.